When I first applied at Vulcan in my original application, I likened working at especially an independent video store in those days, to being like an artisan glass blower or something. You're one of the last of your trade. There's only 150 or less, and even less now, video stores in the world, and it's a weirdly specific job with a very set talent set of knowing movies and actors and directors and being able to use our DOS-based Take One system, which was a skill. But easy to learn, but a lot of fun to master over the years. And it would always surprise me when customers would come in and say, "Oh, what's that movie with the actor?" Or, "Do you know that?" And like immediately, like, "Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about." And they would be so surprised that I would know something. I'm like, "This is my job. It's my job to know movies and to show you where they are in the store. Like this is not a parlor trick. This is not like it's not that impressive. Um, like this is just what I do." And I felt really happy about it, and it was always a lot of fun. I did a few things that were like detective work kind of thing, but it was always a lot of fun to have someone come in and not quite remember the name of a movie and try to describe it. And I said, "Oh yes, I know what you're talking about," and help them figure it out. Or a few times they would only know like a foreign language title of it, and we would look it up and say, "Oh, what you're looking for is actually in English known as this." Or so often people would come in and say, "I'm looking for this really obscure movie," or like, "I don't know if you'd have this," and then they'd say something, not relatively too crazy, like out of the blue, or something like, "Oh yeah, we have that. It's right here to rent." And I don't know if it was just because, even in 2012 onward, people were used to not finding that stuff at Blockbuster or Hollywood Video, or not, or even on Netflix, on the disc version of Netflix, or not streaming. But it always felt that like at Vulcan we had, we tried to have as much as possible. Obviously, we don't have everything, but with over 35,000 titles, it's a very large net that we cast for movies, and more often than not, people would leave satisfied, or like we would have what they wanted. And man, I hadn't even thought of it in a while, but it was especially in the when I first started, it would be annoying sometimes. They would want something, and we would say, "Oh, we don't have it," or it looks like we have it at the North Store or at the South Store, and we would call and have them hold it and stuff. And sometimes people wouldn't want to do that, but if you're on the lookout for something and we only had a copy of Rolling Thunder, or I'm trying to remember something that we actually had at only one location, The Wrong Guy, it was worth the trip. And a number of times, it would. I remember calling one time and making sure that we had Never Too Young to Die on VHS at one of the stores, or Elves. We only had Elves at the North Store on tape. Speaking of on tape, you eventually kind of became part of as being a video store clerk in the 21st century is, in addition to having to know a lot about movies and stuff, but you're also kind of a historian, as if you're working at Colonial Williamsburg, of telling people, "Oh, that never came out on DVD," or that's only on VHS," or trying to quickly describe film history very quickly, of just like, "Okay, well, here's all the movies that were ever made, and then here's what was put on home video, and then here's what's on DVD, here's what's on Blu-ray, and all of that, here's what we have at the store." And it would never fail to, and it was always kind of amusing and frustrating for me and for customers when they would come in and say like, "Hey, do you have Celine and Julie Go Boating?" I'm like, "Oh, we do. It's only on tape. It's only on VHS. It's never been released on DVD in America." Or asking for a title that you think was really popular, that's not on DVD in America, or eventually would come out on Blu-ray or something, but just rights on home video rights and distribution in countries and stuff. And just trying to, I never wanted to say no, or just have a very short answer. I wanted to make sure, hey, here's why. I did some digging. It looked like that documentary about the dead ice skaters was only released by the production company, and it was for a limited time, and so now it's technically out of print, and we don't have it, and it doesn't look like anyone has it, and I'm really sorry. Or sometimes stuff would be available for streaming, or sometimes things were even at I Love Video, and we would say, hey, I want you to watch this, so go look for it there and get it. Sorry we didn't have it. And over time we would lose, originally, especially early on, we were pretty good at getting requests. We had a book where people would write down requests and stuff, and if it wasn't too crazy expensive, we would get it. If it was something only on tape, or if the DVD was like $80, and no one would ever, it would never make enough. A Night in Heaven would never make enough money back to justify us spending so much money on people renting it. We wouldn't get it. But sometimes, but we would try as much as possible to get things that people requested or wanted. I remember I helped, I think it was 2 customers to slowly get all of Dallas and go through that series. Eventually, money was tight and having to close 1 and then 2 stores and move. We couldn't do as many requests and stuff. But the real fucking kicker, so Brian Connolly would go through the request lists, and be like, okay, that's dumb. We have that. That was super frustrating when someone would come in, look around, and then go, huh, and leave. And she's like, goodbye. You can talk to us. Clearly, you're looking for something. We will help you. This is not we're friendly people. I always have a smile on my face there. But that was always kind of frustrating when people wouldn't ask and we would have it, or it would be in a different section because we have a lot of sections and a lot of subsections that's different, even than most video stores people have been into if they're lucky enough to be in a video store. So sometimes it takes a little while, or we have a Jackie Chan subsection, or that was directed by Jean-Luc Godard, so it's going to be in the Godard section, which isn't on the director as well, but is in France, because he's a French director, and all of his films are French, or something. And it would never, I would feel amused, frustrated, and then a little bit sad every time a customer would come in and look around and say oh wow, are all these for sale? I would go, no, this is a rental store. These are all for rent. And if you want something for sale, they're all going to be there over where it says for sale, and they'll all be individually priced, which was a dick thing to say, but eventually it was take a second to look around. This is horribly designed for a retail experience. We only have 1 copy of almost everything. You can't see the prices if there were there, because everything is basically spying out. There's no sale signs, or prices anywhere. But the frustrating thing was, for a lot of times going into Vulcan, depending on how old they were and where they grew up, it was the first experience they had with a video rental store. And since we're not a chain, they wouldn't know. And so it was nice, I liked that opportunity to say, oh no, it's a rental store, it's free to sign up and you can rent these movies for 5 days or 2 days or whatever. And, hopefully they would become a customer and stuff, and they would leave happy. But that initial, just maybe, stop for a second and think that, there are context clues saying that this isn't a place for sale. And I have lost my train of thought, so cut.